first step in the editing process is very important.
Hi, I'm gonna get started for you.
Hi, I'll have a venti pumpkin spice latte.
Is it gonna be hot or ice today?
Hot, please.
Okay. Anything else for you?
That'll do.
Perfect. 5:45 at the window, thanks.
All right, thank you. I don't know why I said that'll do. I never say that'll do. That was weird. Okay, so this is my recording setup in the corner of my bedroom here. I've got my soundboard on my iPad. This is my favorite. Oh, you can't hear it, but it's funny. And then I've got my microphone here is a Heil PR40, which is a good quality mic. And then I've got my mixer here where I plug in the iPad and the microphone, and it can combine them together. Plugs into the laptop, and so I record in the left track. So I record in stereo, and in the left track, what you see on the top here is my voice. So that's where it gets recorded into Audacity, which is the free software that I record in. And then on the bottom, in the right track, is the music and all the drops and stuff from my iPad. So that's how I record. Okay, so the way we record the podcast, since we're all in 3 separate locations, we hop on Google Hangouts, and that's where we can see and hear each other. But we don't actually do the recording there. We all record our own audio separately, locally on our own laptops. And then at the end of the podcast, Ryan and Trey email me their audio files, and then I just add their tracks to mine in Audacity. So I have all 3 tracks in here. On top is me, in the middle is Ryan, and the bottom here is Trey. And you can tell the middle is Ryan because it looks like he's saying stupid stuff. A trained eye could see it. I don't know if you can. And then at the bottom here is the iPad drops, which I've separated into its own tracks. So yeah, there's, I guess, 4 tracks here. And what I do is I highlight a little blank part here where I'm not talking, and I go to noise reduction, and I get the noise profile, and then I highlight the whole thing again. And what this is going to do is it knows what kind of the ambient sound of the room is now. So maybe if I have an air conditioner on, it got it from that sample, and then when I click noise reduction OK, it'll go through all of my audio and just remove that background noise. And so this is one of the more time-consuming parts, actually, because you can see it's going to take a minute here. So I have to do that for all 3 tracks, and then I have to, the next thing I do, which also takes a little bit, is compressor. And what compressor does is it takes all of our audio and just kind of normalizes the volume, I guess, just because, you know, if sometimes I'm talking way too loud and sometimes I'm too quiet, it's just gonna even those out a little bit. So that is the first big step. All right, so here's an example of where the bros are not perfect. We occasionally make mistakes, so here's one of those that needs to be edited out.
Yep, all right. Well, my next game here is Illinois at Michigan State. In a day of crazy games, this may have been the craziest.
Wait a sec. No, Ryan. You skipped one.
I did.
Yeah. Kansas State, Texas.
Oh, shit, I didn't.
So Ryan, on his outline, left out one of the games we wanted to go over. And so, yeah, he wasn't prepared for that. So we just kind of paused, and he refreshed himself on the game, and then we just went straight back to recording. So now I'm just going to delete that. Okay, here is an example of maybe a little bit of perfectionism here. So you can see I'm about to talk here, and if you zoom in real close, there's the slightest little dot before I start speaking, and that is the sound of a chair squeaking, my chair. And I gotta get rid of that. We can't have people hearing my chair squeak, accusing me of farting, which I would never do. I've never farted. So yeah, you gotta edit that out. Okay, so right here we have At about the 7:47 mark, Trey made a really good point, kind of made me look bad by comparison, so you just got to delete that. So that's just part of the process. Okay, so we're about 44 minutes in here, and you can see this is Ryan's audio. You can see it suddenly gets a lot louder here, so we'll check it out, but that's something I'm probably gonna have to edit.
Against Penn State, they've been doing pretty well since. So I'm gonna take the maize and blue here.
Okay, so that sounded normal. Oh, okay. Okay, all right, well, all right, I'll edit that out, Ryan. We are at the 1 hour and 4 minute mark. It was a long podcast, and Ryan gave me some extra work here because he decided to say a curse word. He was referring to what the Nebraska game would look like against Wisconsin this upcoming weekend. So let's take a listen here to the unedited version.
Nebraska's not going to be able to move the ball on the Badgers at all. So I think it's going to be a shit show. Pardon my French.
Oh, man. Wow.
Just thanks a lot, Ryan. Now I gotta go get a little, I've got a little beep sound effect that I have to go add in at just the right time here. All right, so here we are 2 minutes later, and we can listen to the edited version of Ryan's swear.
Nebraska's not going to be able to move the ball on the Badgers at all. So I think it's going to be a shit show. Pardon my French.
Oh, man.
So now our mom can listen to the podcast and not be disappointed by her children, or as disappointed at least. Okay, so I have reached the end of editing the podcast. So now I have saved the file with all three of our voices, and then right now I'm running that through Levelator, which is just a free software that even more so, I guess, levels the volume of our voices so that Ryan, Trey, and I all sound like we're speaking at similar volumes. Okay, so now the podcast is almost done. All I have to do is import Sarah's intro that she recorded earlier. So I will import that. And then I'll also have to add the outro, of course, that we just reuse for every episode. So I'll add that. And then I export the podcast. I take a listen to it just to make sure I didn't make any mistakes, and it will be ready to upload. Okay, so I have listened to the podcast. It sounded good. And now it is time. I'm here in Podcast One, which is the company that distributes our podcast. That's where it's hosted. And so I will upload the final episode, the MP3, which I converted in iTunes. Episode 129. So there it is, uploading. And then once it's done, I'll click submit, and it'll be everywhere. It'll be in your podcast app right away. So I've written the description up here and the title. Just double check that, make sure everything's good. All right, I think we're good. Publish episode, oh boy. It's always nerve-wracking. Have I made a mistake? It's too late now, I published it. All right, hope you enjoy.